Hi there, my name's Jay, and I'm really pleased to introduce Jocelyn Hartle to the Crowdsourcing Promising Practices community today. Jocelyn works with me in Thames Valley District School Board in London, Ontario, and I asked her what she thinks teaching is like, and I had to write this one down. She said teaching is like being the coxswain of a rowboat with a group of rowers from diverse backgrounds who didn't know that they'd be competing in a race today. I think that's kind of perfect. And today she's going to share with us how to use something called Fluency Tutor rather. It's a web tool, and it helps us rethink how we can do some reading assessments with some of our students. So I'm going to flip the screen over here, and Jocelyn, so appreciative that you've joined us today. And I know you kind of want to talk a bit about the reason why you use this technology, but I'm going to let you introduce yourself, and when you're ready to go ahead and share your screen and explain how you've used the tool with your kids, we'd really appreciate it.
Sure. Okay, so hi everyone. So I'm a grade 7 teacher at Eagle Heights, and I'm really excited to do this Fluency Tutor because I do think it's one of the most effective tech pieces that I have in my classroom and definitely in my literacy program. So it's called Fluency Tutor. It is a Google extension. It's available on the Chrome Web Store. And I mainly currently use it for my reading assessment pieces. And you can use it long-term over the year to evaluate your students' reading progress. You can also use it more of an instructional tool. But personally, I haven't quite got to that point, but I think definitely for younger grades, that would be one of the benefits. It has a very similar running record style to DRA, so that's what I personally like about it. I can assess an entire class, or at least get them to do the recording of the readings on their Chromebooks in less than a block, like 45 minutes, sometimes less, and the more we do it, the better we get at it. Some of the other points I wanted to highlight, students can actually create their own reading assessments, customize things. Once they're in there, they have similar features to Google Read and Write. They have picture dictionaries, tools they can pop up and use. It will actually tell you whether or not they've used those tools as well. One of the points too is that it really kind of lowers the pressure of the reading assessment because it's just the student with their computer, and especially for our students, ELLs, students on special programs and so on, we say it lowers their sort of effective filter, and it's also really easy to use, and students can even use it on an iPad. So I think that's the main sort of introductory piece, and I love how it actually works. So let's jump into it. Do I have to do something now, or do I just pop over to the...
Yep, you can pop over to the other tab.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
We see everything.
Okay, so this is how you would go about actually adding it. So you would just Google the Chrome Web Store, and then you would pop in Fluency Tutor. So I'm just going to kind of walk you through as if you were a complete sort of beginner to the extension. Oh, it's saying not found. Oh, okay, I think I have to search. Oh, so let's, oh, good start, good start. So let's try it like this. So we would go in here. Okay, I've obviously been here, so I'm not sure why that didn't work, but it's popping up here. So maybe you have to just go in through there. So you would add it through the extension here. I'm not going to model that because I've already done that. So once it's popping up, it will look something like this. I'm just going to be careful not to click on like a student tab to protect my privacy of my class. So I'm showing you what it would be like to share a passage. So one of the things we can see are the Lexile levels. So if you're not familiar with a Lexile level, I've just brought up what is a Lexile level. Some people will know this, some people might not. So for example, if you taught a grade 4 class, I'm just going to highlight this here. In a DRA, you will see that that would be a level 40, but a Lexile level, there are equivalents for all those. That would look something between a 770 and a 910 or 910. So you can easily use a chart like this, which I just found online, and I just compare those. So because I teach grade 7, I'm gonna try to place students. There's actually like a wider range than you can kind of initially see, so you have to look a little bit carefully at the chart. So the first reading assessment I gave this year for my students was actually a level 800. So that's what I'm going to model now. So going back to the program, you can use the search tool up here at the right. And I've already put in, so you can search a minimum here and a maximum here for your Lexile level. So let's say I'm doing another one possibly for the end of the first term. So I might want to up it to a 900, or it depends sort of what you're going for and what your purpose is. You would press apply these filters, and you will see that you have a variety of Lexile levels popping up. The reading age, which personally I wouldn't pay a lot of attention to because we know that doesn't always apply to all of our students' unique needs. But then this one is interesting, is the word count. So we know that sometimes we might want to assign a longer reading for our purposes, like a 400 word reading, and sometimes maybe we want a shorter one. So let's say I wanted to assign this 200 word reading, which is called Engineering Entertainment, and they give a little description. And of course, you just pick what's best for your students. If you wanted to see, there's actually a second page, you could click down there. But let's say I wanted this one, I would click on it. And I could see that the reading pops up, and there's usually a little picture. So you could skim and scan through. You could read it. It's up to you how detailed you want to get. But once you've picked the passage that is perfect for your needs, you would then go up to this right-hand corner. So this is now how you are going to actually assign the reading. You can also actually click over here and you can preview the comprehension questions. So each reading, at least according to what I have seen so far, every single reading that I have ever used has 4 comprehension questions, and they are multiple choice. So that is something a little different from DRA. DRA does get a little more in-depth with the comprehension questions, but for me and for my personal purposes, I have other ways of evaluating comprehension, and for an assessment, this is much easier to use, and the benefits outweigh the cons there for the comprehension piece. So I've decided that I'm going to assign this. I can either share it on a drive or share it with Drive. That's not how I do it, because this is a Google extension and it's all ready to go in your classroom, which is the main piece that I love. So I have actually created a model class. So this is my regular class. So I'm not going to assign it there. I'm going to show you exactly what you would have to do, and I'm going to really hope that it works. So I have to click Can't See Class Here, and there's a little piece that you have to, a little link that you have to click that says Update Your Rosters from Google Classroom. So if you have just made any new changes, and this is something I had to learn the hard way, so if you've just made any new changes to your Google Classroom, for example, if you have added a new student to your classroom, they will not show up here until you click this little link. So you have to click it, and it takes a little while. You have to obviously select your email there and wait. And it will take, oh, no, okay. So now it's asking me, So the class that I made was called Madame's class. That's my model class, update class rosters. And it says this may take a few minutes, and they are not joking. Oh, I guess it didn't, because that maybe was a really small class. It normally, if you have a larger class, it does take a few minutes. So for some reason, it sends me back to the home page, and I don't know why, but that's how it has been every single time. So I have to go and I have to find that reading again. So I'm going to model what that looks like if I wanted to search by keyword, because I'm like, oh, I already remember what I wanted to do. So it was something about roller coasters, but I don't remember the name. Oh, yeah, there it is, that one. Okay, so classroom. Now I should see my new class that I've added or any new changes. We couldn't find any classes. Oh, please work. if it doesn't work, I think what I'll do is, oh, here, I think it's going to work. Please work. It usually works.
My fingers are crossed. It's going to work.
It's going to work. It sometimes can be a little finicky, but it usually will work if you're just patient and you do what it's asking. Retrieving students. Oh, you know why? Did you go in and accept my invitation to the classroom?
Oh, from my end?
Yeah.
Where would I find that? In my inbox?
If you sign into Google Classroom, you probably have to do that because it won't find any students because you're not in there. Oopsie.
Yeah, I'll check right now.
Okay. So we might have to do that whole step again.
And you sent it to?
It will pop up in your Gmail, a Google Classroom invitation, or sorry, yeah, I forgot I was going to mention that to you, and then I think it's because yeah, or it will, if you just sign into Google Classroom, usually you have an invite to a new classroom there.
Okay, I'm working on it here.
Okay.
And let's see.
So while Jay is doing that, I will just briefly talk about.
Okay, and I did just join.
Oh, you did just join. Okay, so maybe I'll pause on that for a second. Sure. Okay, so I'm just gonna redo this step. So this is something that like could happen, right? If you were trying to update a new student or something. So share passage. So we're gonna find it again. I'm searching again, something about roller coasters. Okay. Okay, so we're getting pretty familiar with the steps, which is good. Review, review, review. Okay, so now you should pop up. There's my one lonely little student in my class, and he's going to now get a nice reading assessment assignment. So it does take a moment to create it. So it will say creating Google Drive file, and it does give you a message, share successful. And you can actually just click right on that link. It says view this assignment in Google Classroom, and it will bring you right to that assignment page. So now Jay and or your class will have to complete the assignment. So I was going to talk briefly about some strategies I have learned through experience on how to do that. So first off, students will need headphones to complete the assignments. So you can actually do that with just one set of headphones if you cannot access a class set. So a lot of teachers might prefer to do, you can call it like a recording booth and have one student recording at the back, or if you have support, like perhaps in the hall or something like that. I've heard of teachers bringing in like presentation boards and even like decorating them and calling it a recording booth. Some people do this for like Flipgrid and other things like that as well. Or what I usually do is rent a class set. We are fortunate enough to have that at our library, and we actually all record at the same time. Sometimes it seems like, oh, it's going to be so busy and loud, but the students just kind of break off, and I have little carpets they can sit on, and they find a spot and they just know that that's the time they have. They record, they upload it, and then that's it. That's all. And it's like 40 minutes tops, I would say, by the time they get in and get going. And then we're done that whole set of reading assessments. So that is the actual recording piece. You can see what the student would have a view like this. They would be able to click on it. Oh, I'm already at 15 minutes. Okay, I'm going to keep going a little fast.
Oh,
and there is Jay's assignment. So I'm just going to share a little bit about how it is assessed, which is my absolute favorite part. So I'm going to click now on this one. So this brings me to, I'm not going to show all of the assignments in in the Fluency Tutor, just because of all of the student names, but they are really well organized in there, and it's a great program in terms of being able to just click from one student to another. You can search specific students, you can search specific reading names. It's a really user-friendly program. So I do encourage you to check it out for those features as well. A lot easier than organizing like all those random DRA papers that are like floating around your desk and like in kids' desks. Just throwing that out there. So we're going to see now how the assessment piece works. So I will not play this because it is an actual student sample. But if we were to press on the play button, we would hear the student's voice with the recording. And it would play and be able to fast forward. And what I love about it too is if you don't catch something, you can stop, you can rewind, you can go back and go to the beginning, start it over, you got distracted, the whole thing, right? Because we all know that happens. And then when you do hear an error or mistake, you can notate that in the same way you do for DRA in a running record. So we can see here that this student made a hesitation. So you simply click on the word. It brings up this drop-down list. You click on the correct mistake or error, so hesitation, and then it records it, and it's color-coded. So you go through the whole thing as per you would for DRA. It records these scores here, and it all goes through an automated system. It's also showing me automatically the student's comprehension score. When I'm finished, I have to be very careful to save my scoring or I will lose it. I have learned that it also does time out. So you cannot start and then go get a coffee and then come back because you will lose it, and that has happened to me. I wasn't getting coffee, but I did lose some. So you have to save the scorings, okay? It also just does say here having trouble with scoring. So there's lots of help. I've also had instances where I've had trouble. I've contacted them. I've sent emails. They send me emails back within like 20 minutes. So because it is Google driven, lots of helpful, friendly people that will help you with the program if you have problems. So that's the main assessment piece. Like I was saying at the beginning, there are instructional purposes as well. So if you have like, you know, just you want to assign a reading, you don't necessarily need to assess it. You can do that. If you want, what I do too is my reading conferences, I actually have students sit down and I actually, for grade 7, I actually go through and I assess it with them sitting beside me, and we use a headphone splitter and we listen to it together. And I find that it's a really, really, really powerful experience for them because they've probably never heard themselves read in that way. And they've definitely probably never heard themselves read and like be assessed in that way. I don't necessarily explain what all the errors are, but they kind of know like, oh, red, like that's a mistake. And like, oh yeah, I know I kind of messed that word up. And it brings them a whole new level of like phonetical awareness. Obviously you have to be sensitive to certain students and like, you know, play it the way that you think is appropriate for certain students. That might not work for everyone, but it can be really powerful. And I was saying before to Jay, also really powerful tool for parent conferences and to bring up these readings in those parent conferences. So I think that's really all I wanted to say. Oh, there is also something really, really, really cool. I cannot show it because it is, again, sensitive with the names, but you can also directly from your Fluency Tutor, you can click on, there's a button that says Export to Google Sheets, and it will take all your data from a set of readings. You can select certain readings that you want, you can do all of them, and it will export that data to a Google Sheet. So you can compare it all, you can use it for report cards. When I do report cards for reading, it is so easy because I use this program. So that is everything. The only thing I will mention that I do have to I feel obliged to mention is that there is a cost associated. So there's a 3-month trial. I am not selling it. It will not work for them. But I do feel that it's my due diligence just to mention that there is a cost. So this is it here. This is what it looks like when you go to pay. Perhaps you can have this covered in some way, but I just felt that I should mention that without saying that I felt it wouldn't be fair. So that's everything from me. Jay, any questions? Or
No, that's fantastic. If you want to stop sharing your screen,
okay.
Click the blue button there.
The blue button? Oh, oh yes, got it.
Great. So there's Jocelyn. No, I just wanted to say thank you. I actually don't know a lot about this extension, so this is really good learning for me, and I can definitely think of some teachers where this would be a way that they can make assessment more efficient. So we're always starving for time as teachers, so this is a great one. So I just want to thank you for adding a perfect bited PD to our community tonight. And for viewers, thanks for learning with us, and keep those nominations coming in. And thanks for helping us make sharing contagious. We'll see you again.